Hello everyone, happy Tuesday. It's time for another episode of Tuesday Live at 5. This is Lena Gersa. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator from Cambridge, Ontario, Canada, and today I am so excited to share with you a soon-to-be retiring bundle from the January to June mini catalog called Delicate Petals. Now this bundle, I am ashamed to say, has been sitting on my craft table unloved until this weekend, and I am so regretting it. It is such a fabulous bundle of products. So I'm going to share some projects today. I'm going to show you 3, and then I'm going to show you a few more that I've made and show you just how fantastic this bundle is. And the best part is that the dies are part of the last chance sale. They're actually marked down half price. So you're going to want to scoop up the dies and the stamp set separately. Okay, don't get both in the bundle because you won't get the discount. Get the dies separately. They're half price. I think they're $22, which is insane. And then the stamp set, I think, is $23. So fantastic deal. And you're going to want to scoop these up before they sell out. Okay, so let me just see who's joining me. My iPad is dead. It's plugged in and thinking about waking up. So I can only see a few people joining me on my comments here. I saw Julie and I see Peggy. Who else is here? Judy and Connie and Debbie. Hi, Gail. Thanks for joining me today, ladies. I hopefully will be able to see comments a little bit better once my iPad gets enough juice in it to wake up. But yeah, this is what happens when your son uses your iPad and doesn't plug it in. Anywho, so I sent out my newsletter just this afternoon at 3 o'clock, and it includes a link to the last chance promotion. So it just went live at 3 o'clock. This promotion just started. So nothing will be sold out yet, but you're going to want to check it out soon. There are some deep discounts on some products. As I mentioned, the Lacy Petals dies, which we're going to be using today, are at half price, which is just an amazing deal. And then there are others that are lesser discounts, but you're going to want to check it out sooner than later, okay? My newsletter also includes information about some upcoming events. You're going to want to check that out. So lots of good stuff coming in the month of June. There's going to be more good stuff coming sort of mid-month because I've got 2 big events happening in my personal life this June. So there'll be some fun stuff happening with those too. But let's get to some stamping. Enough chit-chatting. I'm going to flip the camera and show you the bundle, and then we're going to get to it, okay? All right. Now that looks rather dim. I'm going to move that up a little bit so it's a little bit brighter. That should do it. Okay, so as I mentioned, this bundle is in the January to June mini, which is retiring at the end of this month, and it is found on page 57, and it is one you probably just passed right by. It doesn't have a whole lot of real estate in the catalog, but oh my goodness, these dies are so stunning. So let me show you it up close and personal. This is the stamp set. It's called Delicate Petals. It's got lots of different images, and you kind of wonder what the heck do you do with all of them, but they're really fantastic. We're going to use this one. We're going to use these today. And then some beautiful sentiments with lovely fonts. So that's the stamp set. But the real star of the show are the dies. Now, the dies have one die that cuts out a stamped image. Now, this won't be quite oh, it is 100%. Look at that. Okay, so that one cuts that image out. The rest of these cut out petals. Now, I should also mention these dies cut out the stamped petals as well. Okay, so you can use these on their own to cut the stamped images, or you can use them with the insert to cut beautiful detailed lacy petals. Okay, so the nice thing about this set is that you get 4 large petals and 4 small petals. So if you want to cut, 8 to do a flower, like a large flower, then you just have to run them through twice, right? It doesn't take a whole lot of time. If it was just one die, you'd be cutting a lot of cranking. Okay, so beautiful set of dies, as I mentioned, on for half price in the last chance promotion. So let's get to some projects. This first one that we're going to do is one that I posted yesterday, and it is all about the Shimmer Vellum. Look at that. These die cuts look absolutely stunning in the Shimmer Vellum. So to start, we are going to use a piece of soft seafoam cardstock. It's 5 1/4 by 4 inches. And I'm going to bring in this sort of wedge die. I don't know what else to call it, or wedge stamp. It's this one right here. It's really detailed. And we're going to use that to kind of create a backdrop for our die cut flower. So I'm going to stamp tone on tone using soft seafoam ink. So I'm just going to start kind of up here. Okay. And then I found the easiest way to do this is just kind of rotate your cardstock as you go. Okay. I'm not worrying about getting it perfect. I'm just creating a backdrop. Most of this is going to get covered by my flower. Okay. I'm not really worried that that didn't stamp perfectly. And then we'll fill in this last one like that. Okay. It's again, just giving us a backdrop for our beautiful die cut flower. All right. So let's add a little bit of ribbon and we're going to attach this to our card base and then we'll build our flower. Okay, so I have here some fresh Freesia in color ribbon. So I'm going to add just a little glue dot here. We're going to put this on across the front of our stamped panel about 1.5 inches up from the bottom. And I forgot my ribbon scissors again. So we're going to use my not so great, rather dull paper snips. These are not my good paper snips by any means, but they do the job. All right, so there is my ribbon. Now we're ready to go ahead and glue that onto our card base. This is a thick basic white card base. Oh, my iPad, are you awake? Wake up. Hang on. I saw the apple come up and then it went away. Nope. It came up and then it went away. All right, let it do its thing. As I mentioned, this is a thick basic white card base. It's 4 1/4 by 11 inches, scored in the middle at 5 1/2. So I'm going to fold in half along my score line and crisp that up with my bone folder. And then this is going to get glued on centered onto our card base. So we'll add a little bit of adhesive. Now you guys, if you are commenting or asking questions, I'm not ignoring you. I just can't see the comments right now, okay? Because it's way up there on my phone and I can't see my screen when I am working here. So hence the need for the iPad. So hopefully it wakes up sooner than later. But if you have questions or comments, I am happy. I will go back afterwards and double check to make sure I didn't miss anybody. Okay. All right. Now let's put together our beautiful Shimmer Vellum flower. So you'll see here, I have several die cut pieces. So we'll set our leaves aside for now. We're not going to need those just yet. But I have 2 flowers. So there's a small flower and a larger flower that are included in the die set. And then I have a whole bunch, I think I have like 12 or 8, I don't know, I don't remember, a whole bunch of die cut petals. So we are going to begin building our flower. Now I wanted my flower to be really, really full for this card, okay? You don't have to use all of these petals, but I really like the look. So we are going to start by just applying a little bit of seal to the back of our larger die cut flower. And that's going to allow us to adhere our petals. So I'm just going to start working my way around. So I'm just adding one sort of in between each petal as I go around. Okay, super simple. So we'll just add one in each little opening here. Like that. Okay, then I'm going to flip this over and it's really pretty just like that, right? It doesn't really need more, but you know, I'm me and I like doing things over the top. So we're going to add a little bit more adhesive here and we're going to fill in sort of in between. So I'm going to add another petal in between each one of those petals I just added. And that's just going to make it even fuller and prettier, and why not? Because this Shimmer Vellum is just gorgeous, right? So again, I'm just working my way around. You can certainly adhere these with glue dots, but I just find it way faster to do it with the seal. You know, you could apply an individual glue dot to each one of your petals. You totally could. I'm just not that patient. Okay, so now I'm going to take my petals and very gently with my bone folder, burnish them a little bit to give them a little bit of dimension. Okay, I want to be gentle. I don't want to tear these, and I certainly don't want to pull them off after I just glued them on. Okay, but that gives me just a little bit of shape to my flower. Okay, then I have this little bitty guy, so we're going to burnish that one as well. So again, we'll add just a little bit of dimension, and that is going to get glued in the center, just like that. So for this, I'm actually going to use a couple of glue dots. Normally, I wouldn't use glue dots on vellum because they show through. However, the center of this flower is going to be covered up by our sentiment, so it's not a big deal. Okay, isn't that pretty? So pretty and delicate. So that is going to get adhered on the front of our card. I'm actually going to turn this because I didn't do a great job of getting those petals super even. So we're going to turn it this way because our sentiment, once we stamp it, is going to run right across here. Okay, so I kind of want to get my flowers centered inside my stamped background. I'm going to add a couple of dimensionals just around the center of my flower, probably 3. Again, these are not going to be visible. Normally you wouldn't really use dimensionals with vellum, but because we are adding our sentiment, it's not going to be noticeable. Okay, so we're going to add that right, let's put that up just a titch higher. There we go. And then we're going to stamp our sentiment and add it right across the middle of the flower. Now, if you didn't want to cover up any of that beautiful flower, you could add a gem in the center and call it a day. It would be just absolutely stunning, but I wanted to add my sentiment. So we are using the I'm So Happy You're My Friend sentiment. We're going to stamp it in Smoky Slate ink, and I'm using this label that was die cut using the Messages die. Okay, that is one of my go-to dies because you can cut a whole whack of sentiments, or sentiment labels, I should say, all at once, right? You can cut the sentiments as well if you pre-stamp. But I just love having these blank labels that I can add to my cards as I'm designing. It's a great thing to just have them ready to go. So now this is going to get adhered across the front of our card, overlapping our flowers. So we're going to add a couple of mini dimensionals to the back on the end that's going to overlap the card. Okay, and then the rest I'm going to add just a little bit of tape to adhere it so it lies flat. So we'll just add a little bit of seal here and get rid of our backings. Come on. I always find mini dimensional backings so much harder to take off than the full size ones. I don't know why. Maybe just because my fingers don't function very well. Who knows? All right, so let's get that on nice and straight. Right across there, okay? And then I have several of these little die cut leaves. Now on my sample, I did sponge them lightly with some soft seafoam ink and a blending brush, but I forgot to bring that over. So we're just gonna put them on as is. It's certainly not necessary to sponge them. If you want them to be a little bit darker, you certainly could. So I'm just very, very gently burnishing each one of these to give them a little bit of a curl because I want them to have, again, a little bit of dimension here. So I'm just going to take and crisscross my leaves with the glue dot, okay? And then they're ready to just tuck in behind my flower wherever I like. So I'm going to add one more glue dot. I'm going to just pick up the petals of my flower and tuck in my leaves just like that. And then we'll do the same thing again. Glue dot, crisscross. And this one I think we're going to put just up underneath our sentiment, just like that. So we'll add another glue dot and tuck that in. Okay, and then one more. Do I want one more? You know what? I think I'm gonna, maybe I'll just do one leaf over here. One small one, I think. Because I think having 2 is gonna be too much. Yeah, let's just do 1 there. So let's just add one more little leaf. And again, it's just a matter of lifting up your petals a little bit and tucking your leaf underneath. So, so pretty. Now I feel like I want another leaf here to balance it. Yep, that's me, all about the creating on the fly here. Changing up my design, why the heck not? There we go. Love it. Okay, so that is our flower. The last touch on this card is to add a bow. So I'm gonna bring in, again, my fresh Freesia ribbon, create my loops, and then cross my left over right, bring it around and through, and pull it tight. This ribbon is, I think, the easiest ribbon there is to tie with. It's so forgiving, and it pulls nice and tight, so it holds a nice tight knot. It's shimmery and shiny and beautiful. I just need to reach my ribbon scissors. Where did they go? Okay, they're not where they should be. Did somebody in my household steal my ribbon scissors? I think somebody did, because they are not where they should be. Oh, there's gonna be trouble, people. There's gonna be a rumble in my house tonight. My scissors are gone. All right, let's make do with our not so sharp paper snips. Somebody is gonna be in big trouble tonight as soon as I find those scissors. All right, there we go. Just took a little bit more time to cut that cleanly. So we've got our bow. I'm gonna press the knot into a glue dot, And then I'm just going to tuck my bow at a jaunty little angle right in underneath my sentiment panel. And then the last little touch is to add some bling, because if you know me, you know I'm all about the bling. So I'm using some of our In Color gems. So these ones are soft succulent, but I kind of feel like they work with the colors on this card. So I decided, why not? All right, there we go. That is card number 1. I hope you like that one. These dies are just so pretty. I'm just gonna clear some space here, and we're gonna move on to number 2. I just need to hold on to one of the stamps because we're gonna need it for one of the other cards. All right, so card number 2 is this one. So this one is all about the stamp set, okay? There's, I mean, I did use the dies to cut out the petals, but it is all about the stamps. My iPad is awake. Let me pull up my video so I can see you guys, or at least see your comments. Give me a sec here. It's not the fastest iPad. It's a little bit old and slow, just like me. Come on. There it is. All right, let's see who's here. Okay, there we are. I see you all. Debbie, I could be a florist in my spare time. I would love to do that. I love floral arranging. I have 0 training in it, but I just really like playing with flowers. So I would absolutely love that. Okay, so here we go with number 2. I decided to try to create a different look to the flower. So I was going for kind of a lotus look on this card. So on this one, I'll show you, I just used this, this particular stamp. It's the petal. And color them with my Stampin' blends. And then I use this small petal for my leaves. Okay, just a different look. But I wanted to kind of experiment with different things I could do with these dies. And I really like this look. And of course, I'm always about the red and black. I think it's a great combination. I love the way the red pops. All right, so let me show you how I put my flower together. I've already done all of my coloring and die cutting ahead of time because I figured you guys have seen me color a million times. These are colored just using Poppy Parade, the Poppy Parade blends. And I am just going to put together my lotus. Okay, so I'm going to start with a glue dot. Let me just grab one glue dot here. So I've got my center petal, right? So then I'm going to layer another petal behind it. I'm going to add another glue dot and layer my second petal. Okay, that's going to kind of give me the front petals on my lotus flower. And then I'm going to add 2 more in behind like that. Now to do that, because I don't want these petals kind of sliding around, I've only got one glue dot here. I'm actually going to add a little bit of seal to the back. And once I add these second petals, it's going to stabilize it. So it all kind of holds together properly. Put that one a little bit lower. And there we go. This reminds me a little bit of an amaryllis too. My mom always has amaryllis at Christmas time. Now you see how this end is a little bit untidy. So all I did is just kind of take my snips and round it off so that we get a nice clean bottom to our blossom. Okay. Then we are going to take these petals and I colored them with Granny Apple Green blends, and we're going to create our leaves. So this time I'm going to add a glue dot just at the base here, and I'm going to do one and another, just like that. Okay, whoopsie, angle that out a little bit. And then I'm going to add another one, kind of extending out just to kind of give them a little bit more presence there. So again, I'm going to flip this over. I'm going to add a little bit of seal here, again, just to keep these from sort of sliding around because it's only one glue dot holding them right now. So we're going to add our second petal right here and another one over here. Okay, I thought that was just a really pretty alternate take on the petals in this die set. So the rest of the card is super simple. It'll come together really quickly. So here I have a piece of Pattern Party DSP. This is fast becoming my favorite DSP pack because there's so many options in it. It is cut to 4 by 5 1/4 inches. And here I have a die cut scalloped rectangle. It's die cut using the Scallop Contours dies. It's cut from basic white. And then I have another piece of Pattern Party DSP that I have cut to fit inside that rectangle. Now, measurements are 2 by 3 1/4. Okay, so that's going to fit just inside. So we're going to go ahead and glue that on. Hi, Kelly. I'm glad you were able to join us. All right, so let's get that centered on there. And now, before we glue this onto our background panel, we're going to add a little bit of blingy ribbon. This is one of my go-to ribbons. I love this stuff. It's the glittered organdy ribbon in black. And I have a little, here's a little insider info. There is a white version of this ribbon coming in the new holiday mini catalog. I'm just a little bit excited about that ribbon, let me tell you. So that is going at the top of my wish list because I love this stuff. Okay, so we're just adding a little bit of ribbon across the front of our panel. Then we're ready to go ahead and glue this on. Now, when I glue this, I want to try to have an equal border top and 2 sides. This one's going to be a little bit bigger. And that's okay because that's where our flower is going to go. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and glue this on. I'm gluing it flat. No popping yet. We'll pop our flower and we'll pop our sentiment. So again, we'll put this on fairly centered and with a relatively equal border. This is a little bit tricky, this paper, because the lines are not necessarily perfectly straight. So it can be good or bad, right? If you get your piece a little crooked, the lines may compensate for it. So, all right, so let's glue this onto our card base. I have a basic black card base. It's 4 1/4 by 11 inches, scored in the middle at 5 1/2. So we will fold that along our score line and then add a bit of adhesive to the back of our panel. Whoops, almost pulled my ribbon off there. And then we're going to pop that onto our base. Just about like that. Okay. And then we are going to add our beautiful flower. So for this one, we're going to pop it up with a couple dimensionals. So I'm just going to add a couple of these guys to the back of my flower. And we're going to pop that on just at a little bit of an angle, kind of peeking onto the corner of our scalloped piece. And then here I have a label that I've cut using the, what are they called? I can never remember the name of these. Tasteful Labels dies. I don't know why I can't remember them. I use them all the time. So we're going to stamp our wishing you a lovely birthday sentiment in black ink. So I have my memento here. And we're just going to stamp this centered on our white label. Okay. And then we're going to pop this up because we can and because I'm all about dimensionals. So we're going to add this right about here. And I actually want it to overlap or sort of tuck underneath my flower a little bit. Okay. So we're going to add a couple of dimensionals to the back of our label. And we're just going to tuck that in behind our flower. Just taking care not to cover up any of the sentiment. Okay. And then the last couple of touches, of course, is to add our bow because we need a bow. Every card needs a bow. So again, this ribbon, one of the reasons I love it so much is that it is super easy to tie. Any of this sort of organdy open weave ribbon pulls into a really nice tight knot, which makes it easy to tie. Okay, so any of those ribbons, if you are not super great at tying bows, try these ribbons, the open weave, okay, or the organdy. They make your life a little bit easier. So let's just tidy up our ends, and then we're going to pop this onto the front of our card. We're just going to press it into a glue dot, and I'm going to tuck this actually sideways because I wanted it to look like my sentiment is kind of attached with the bow. All right. And then our last touch is to add a little bit of bling, of course. So I've got a couple of rhinestones here. I've got a few different sizes, so we'll add a few. Let's do a medium one. We'll do one here, and we'll do a little guy up here. Okay, and I love the way the glitter in the ribbon picks up the bling on the rhinestones. It's just such a great look. I love it. All right, Now, did I do anything on the inside? Oh, yes, I did. Look at that. I stamped the floral image. So this double flower, I stamped it a couple of times and then colored it as well with my Poppy Parade blends. Okay. All right. So that is card number 2. Hope you like that one. Let me clean my mess again. Get some stuff out of the way. All right. Last one is this beauty that I posted earlier today. Oh my goodness, I love this so much. And honestly, this gives me like a throwback vibe to the 70s because my mom was big into Afghans and macrame. This card has a bit of both. These lacy die cut flowers remind me of like Afghan flowers. You know, when you crochet an Afghan, that's what that reminds me of. Not that I can crochet, but my mom did. And then the background, this is using a new embossing folder from the annual catalog called Macrame. And it gives amazing texture to your background. I'll just hold that up so you can see it a little better. But so much fun. So let me pull out all my bits and we will get to this one. So let me just quick show you what that embossed panel looked like. There's the macrame folder, okay, before I do anything with it. So that's what the folder looks like, okay. So I have this cut. It's 5 1/4 by 4 inches. So I've embossed it using the macrame folder. Now I should mention this is a 3D folder. Okay, so you need to use your specialty plate or your adapter plate, whatever you're calling it. I think it's called a specialty plate. It's the gray one. Okay, for that to work in your Stampin' Cut and Emboss. And we are going to start by stamping our strip that's going to go across the background. So I'm going to start with just a basic white strip. And I'm going to bring back that wedge stamp that we used on the first card. I just need to clean it real quick because I don't want the wrong color ink here. And I'm going to pull in my crumb cake ink pad. And to do this background, I kind of was going for like, you know, the peace, love, and joy kind of background. I just had this whole 60s and 70s vibe going on this card. So I'm going to just start by stamping across my panel here. I'm not really worried about being super careful or super perfect. I'm just trying to create a bit of a textured background here. So let's bring this one across here. And then we'll bring this one across here. Okay, and I'm not really worried about trying to line them up or match them up. It's just about, let's fill that in there. Let's do that way. And then we'll add just a little bit here. Okay, it's just about adding sort of a little bit of texture to that white panel. Okay, so it's just crumb cake ink on white. So we're going to go ahead and layer that onto our card base. And it doesn't really, oh, I should mention, this is I think 1.5. Yes, 1.5 inches by 5 1/4. Okay. I will put all the measurements up in the description afterwards. So let's add that. Oh, you like those, Debbie? Thank you. Louise, I'm loving this macrame folder too. It's really fun. And again, it's just sending me back. My mom, I remember we used to have this wrought iron room divider in our house. And she used to always have a macrame project on the go hanging from that room divider because it was a great place to hang her macrame projects. So that's what I remember when I remember the 1970s. That and Star Wars movies, because our family was big into all the Star Wars movies. All right, so here we have a whole bunch of die cut flowers and petals once again. So we're going to put these together, but I'm going to show you some tips to get really nice dimension on your flowers. I'm not sure how well that shows, but these are very much 3D flowers. Okay, so we're going to start by building our largest flower. Okay, I'm going to turn my sort of large, like the larger of the two actual flowers over. And I'm going to just take and add a mini dimensional all the way around. So kind of at each of those little notches in the flower. And you'll see why in a sec. So I'm just going to peel all these backings off. Okay. And then I'm going to come in with my petals. And I'm going to layer these so that they catch those mini dimensionals. Okay, so I'm just going all the way around, and that's going to give me some amazing dimension to my flower. Now, you certainly can glue these flat like we did on the first card, but I really like the extra dimension of popping these petals up a little bit. Okay, so that's layer one. Big difference, eh, when you pop it up. And then we're going to add a little yellow flower. So I'm going to just burnish this a teeny bit just to give it a little bit of a lift. Now this one, we're going to use mini dimensionals as well, but they don't quite fit here. They actually show. So what I like to do when I have that issue is I just take my snips and I cut one of the mini dimensionals in half. And then I use my trusty take your pick and pick up my halves. It's easier to maneuver it with the take your pick than with your fingers, trust me. So we'll get rid of our backings. And then we're going to pop our little yellow flower in the center. Isn't that pretty? Oh, love it. Okay, so then to construct our other flowers, really straightforward, basically the same thing. Why did I cut another one of these? I don't need that. I cut one too many. All right, so same kind of deal. We're going to take our mini dimensionals. We're going to cut them in half. And we'll cut this guy in half too, because we're going to need enough for 2 flowers. And we're going to grab each one. Did one stick? No, I lost half a mini. I don't know where it went. It's probably going to turn up stuck to something somewhere. Don't you love it when that happens? I'm forever finding like rhinestones and pearls stuck to the bottom of my feet because I drop them when I'm working and then they somehow find their way onto the soles of my feet. Oh, there we go. There's the one I was missing. I wasn't missing it after all. So we'll add that one. Okay, and then we're going to get rid of our backings and layer one of the small petals onto, or one of the small flowers onto one of the larger flowers for both. Okay, and that gives us just really, really pretty dimension here. So then we're going to go ahead and add these to our card. I am going to add some dimensionals because again, you know me, I love me some dimension. So I'm just going to add 3 dimensionals to the center of my larger flower. And we'll get rid of our backings and we're going to pop this one on right about there. Okay, and then these guys really only need 1. I don't need to worry about hiding my dimensional here because we're going to cover up the little hole in the center with an opal in a minute. But these guys because we pop these up, it's easy to kind of tuck them in so that they overlap. So there's one. And there's my other. Oh, Laura Bart, these dies have your name all over them. These are Laura Bart dies. They're so, so pretty. And they work really beautifully with the stitched petals dies, right? Or the stitched, you know, the ones that, oh, what the heck are they called? The ones that are in the mini that everybody loves. The stitch blossoms, stitch blooms. You know the ones I'm talking about. So I have some leaves that I've just die cut from crumb cake cardstock. And on these ones, I've actually added some adhesive sheets. And that is just so that we can glue these down really easily. Okay, they're going to get glued flat, so I'm going to tuck one there and another one here. And so the advantage again of popping up your flowers is that it makes it really easy to kind of tuck things in behind and again do your little floral arranging. So there's one there and one more. We'll tuck that in behind here like that. Okay, just so, so pretty. Now that's ready to go on our card base. Here we have a thick basic white card base, 5.5 by 8.5, scored in the middle at 4 1/4. So we'll fold that in half along. Pierce blooms. Thank you, Louise. Stitch blooms. No, I think they're Pierce blooms, Laura. I think Louise is my, my fact checker. I hope I never have to do a video without you, Louise, because I would be lost. I would just be guessing at the names of things. Usually that's all I'm doing anyway. All right, so let's glue this guy down. Okay, there is our card base. Now we are going to stamp our sentiment. So this label is from the Ornate Frames. Look, I remember the name. Ornate Frames? Yes, Ornate Frames dies. I only remember because they're behind me on my shelf. So I'm going to stamp my thank you for your kindness in crumb cake ink, but I'm going to stamp it towards the left side of my label here, just because I'm going to tuck the other end in behind my flowers. Now I found when I was doing my sample, yeah, I needed to trim a little bit off of this so that it would tuck in as far as I wanted it to. So again, we're going to add a couple of dimensionals and just tuck that in behind our flowers. And I'm going to try and get this glued on straight, even though I can't really look straight down at it. All right, get rid of that dimensional backing. That doesn't belong there. Then we're going to tie a little twine bow. So this is from the Snail Mail Baker's Twine combo pack. Now this is retiring. I don't think it's on sale, but it is retiring. So if you don't have this Baker's Twine, you need it, because it's got white, which is, you know, everybody needs to have white Baker's Twine. And this Blushing Bride is just a really nice accent to have. I've used this one a ton. So we're just tying a double bow here with our Blushing Bride twine. Just going to play with my loops a little bit till I get them the way I like them. And then we'll trim off our excess. And then this is just going to get tucked under the corner of our sentiment. So I'm just going to grab my take your pick. I'm going to tuck a glue dot in underneath, if it will stick, rather than to my take your pick. Come on, stick to the card. There we go. Sometimes things just don't want to cooperate. And I'm just going to tuck that in and then just press it into place. Okay, and I just think that's a really cute look, and it balances off the flowers a little bit. Okay, last touch is a little bit of bling. So we're going to pull in some of our opal rounds. And we're going to just add one of the smaller ones to the center of each flower. I tried the large ones. I found them a little bit too big, but these smaller ones are perfect. And the pink and yellow sort of opalescent quality of these just works so well with the colors. So there we go. There's my 1960s slash 70s throwback vintage vibe card. All right, let me clear up my mess here. So there you go. There's 1, 2, and 3. Now, before you go, I want to show you some more, because I told you I had some great fun playing with this this bundle, and I just, because it's retiring, I want to show you them all before it goes away. Oh, it's on for $4.75. Awesome, even better. Go stock up on your Snail Mail Baker's Twine. For sure, that's a great deal. All right, so I wanted to show you a couple more projects. So these are ones that I did just using the stamp set. So this is one really bright, again, talk about 1960s. We had decals on our bathtub that looked like this. Did anybody have those stick-on, you know, anti-skid decals that used to stick in your bathtub? We had some that looked just like this. Our bathroom was actually this color. It was like magenta and purple. Again, 1970s, woohoo! But really fun, super simple, and really fun to add texture with some of the extra stamps in the stamp set. So these sort of little sprigs are these guys here. And then I use the little spatter stamp, right? Every stamp set should have a spatter stamp in it. I use the spatter stamp to add a little additional texture there. Okay, so there's one that features just the stamp set. I didn't use the dies at all. And then here's another one. This is almost simple stamping. I couldn't resist adding some pearls to the center of my flowers. So for these ones, or this one especially, I used the masking technique to layer my petals. And then again, added some of those little sprays in behind it, and then colored with my Stampin' blends. This one I used the Pale Papaya, and this one was Calypso Coral. Okay, so that's that one. And then I thought these guys, these flowers actually could double as snowflakes, because they're so lacy and pretty, and you can make 6 petals, right? So I thought it would be fun to make a Christmas card using the dies. So I used some of the ombre specialty paper, ombre glimmer paper, whatever it is, in the blue, and just cut a few different flowers, and then created my snowflake. And then this last one, I couldn't resist, again, just playing with those beautiful lacy petals and a little bit of blending with my blending brush. Now I should mention my background here, I used just this part, so these parts of the petals, and arranged them to get that sort of lacy background. And oh my goodness, I love the look of that. So super pretty, lots of possibilities with this, these dies especially, but the bundle. And again, if you're gonna get these dies, make sure you buy the dies and the stamp set separately, because the bundle is not on sale. The dies are half price, okay? And the dies are the wow. So make sure you pick up the 2 separately rather than the bundle, okay? All right, everybody, I think that's it for me. And yeah, check out my newsletter. I think I posted a link to it on this page. If I haven't, I will. Check it out. If you don't already subscribe, make sure you visit my blog and fill out the subscription form so you don't miss any news. But in the meantime, have a fantastic week, and I will see you again next week for another episode of Tuesday Live at 5. Bye for now.